Hi, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to my Impress Your Date series. This is pork country ribs with okonomiyaki sauce. If your date is a pork lover, I'm sure this dish will be a big hit. Instead of using barbecue sauce, I use okonomiyaki sauce, which is a Japanese sauce for a Japanese savory pancake. It's great for braising pork country ribs. There's simpler versions of okonomiyaki sauce out there, but the extra effort for this sauce is worth it. So let's start cooking. Okay, to make the okonomiyaki sauce, we're going to start with 1 tablespoon of honey, which I've already put into the saucepan. If you've ever tried to measure honey, you know how long that could take. If I did it on camera, it would take, this video would be like 3 times longer. Then we're going to add the tomato paste, and I prefer to use the no salt added type. Then we'll add the 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, chopped raisins, the chopped dates, the chopped apricot, or apricot, depending on how you say it, the 1 tablespoon of shoyu, or Japanese soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of mirin, 1 tablespoon of sake. Now what we want to do is bring this onto a low heat and get it to mix up. And then once we get it to mix up, we're just going to heat it, simmer it for about 5 minutes. All right, next step is to put the sauce into the food processor. Now this sauce is a little bit thicker than I want it to be. It's like a thick ketchup right now. We want it to be about the consistency of squeezable ketchup or squeezable mustard. I'm going to add just a little bit of water. It's probably about 2 tablespoons of water. And now we're going to process it till it's smooth. Oh, looks perfect. Okay, next step. Okay, so we're going to put the sauce into a strainer. I'm just going to strain it back into the saucepan where we made the sauce. I cleaned that saucepan out. Now the reason that you want to process this until it's really smooth is because you want to get all of that chopped fruit, the dates and the raisins and the apricots, you want to get that through the strainer. You don't want to be leaving it in the strainer. If you don't process it long enough, some of those chunks of that fruit are still going to be chunky, and they're not going to go through the strainer. So now we want to use a rubber spatula or a wooden spoon. Sometimes one works better than the other, and press the sauce through the strainer. And next you want to rinse off the spatula so you can get the sauce off the bottom of the strainer. Okay, now I can see that the sauce is still a little bit thicker than I'd like it to be. So I'm going to add a little bit more water to it and stir it up. Okay, now let's taste it. Remember, we're using this sauce as a barbecue sauce for this particular preparation. So we want it to have about the thickness of barbecue sauce. Perfect. Okay, first step is we're going to preheat the oven to 300 degrees. Okay, next we want to season the ribs. Salt and pepper. And then I like to, then I like to pick up the extra salt and pepper off of the board with the meat itself. That one uses up that extra salt and pepper that you tried to put onto them that fell off, and two, it presses the seasoning into the meat so it kind of stays put. All right, next I want to dredge the ribs in flour. And how much you need? Just enough to be able to coat the ribs. I'm being kind of judicious about it right now because flour is a little bit hard to come by. So we just want to get good coating of the flour on all parts of the ribs. All right, now we're going to brown those ribs in a high smoke point oil. I'm using Avo oil, about 1 to 2 tablespoons. You want to get the heat about medium. You want to get it so it's just starting to get some whiffs of smoke. All right, now we're going to brown the pork in this oil. I want to get it good and brown all over. This is going to take probably about 10 or 15 minutes to get a good brown on all the sides. Nice brown on there. Okay, so I think we have a nice brown on all sides of these ribs. Now what I want to do is pour off a little bit of the extra oil that's in this Dutch oven. There's just a little bit, there's too much oil in there right now. Okay, so I'm just going to pour that into my fat catching can. Okay, now turn the heat down, turn the heat off, I'm sorry. Now what we want to do is put the ribs back into the Dutch oven, and I'm going to get them to kind of be close together. Now I want to cover the onions over the pork. Now I want to put the Okonomiyaki sauce on top of the ribs. Get them well covered. All right, now we're going to cover the Dutch oven, and we're going to put this into the oven, meaning the kitchen oven, which we preset to 300 degrees, and we want to roast these for 3 hours. However, I'm going to check them every hour, and we want them to be fall apart tender. So if they're fall apart tender before 3 hours, we might take them out a little bit early. So we're going to check those hourly. Okay, I checked them after the first hour. Not much to report. It's been 2 hours. See how they're doing. Yeah, they're getting pretty tender, but I don't think they're fall apart tender yet. We're going to let them go another hour, and I'm going to use a brush and brush a little bit of the juices and sauce from the bottom of the Dutch oven, brush them on the top of the ribs and the onions. Okay, now we're going to put this back in the oven for the 3rd hour. Okay, the pork's been cooking for 3 hours. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, let's see if it's fork tender. Oh yeah, fall apart tender. Perfect. Okay. All right, so this is the conclusion of pork country ribs with okonomiyaki sauce. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and have a great date!